This conference will now be recorded.
There we go.
Cheers.
All right, man.
I completely missed last week, Brian. I completely forgot, but I have some news.
All right.
I ordered my laser.
Oh, man. Where's John?
Yeah, where's John with the champagne? What the heck?
Or the Scotch, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
It works too.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. I just did the the quote unquote down payment for now. I'm trying to get a business credit card before the full amount is due, so that I can get some like credit card reward points on the purchase too. But if that doesn't work out, I'll just pay it in with my debit card. But yeah, so they said towards the end of December. Yeah.
All right. That'll be a good Christmas present. Late Christmas.
If it gets here by Christmas, I'm hoping. I don't expect it to if the lead time's that close, but
Yeah.
if it did, it'd be nice to get some Christmas decorations made with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, that's
Cool.
good news, man.
Not how I envisioned telling you, dressed up like Ron Burgundy, but you know.
Oh, this is
whatever.
perfect, man. This is perfect.
Good stuff. How y'all doing?
Doing well. Doing well. Robert, how you been?
Doing well. Thanks, Brian.
Cool. Cool. All right. Cinda, I see you. Hi. And John and Joanne. Is Joanne with you today? Hey. All right. Awesome.
Yeah, we're both here this morning. How you doing, Brian?
Doing well. Doing well. So, well, I'll tell you what, John, we'll touch on your stuff. I imagine you have some more questions since the last time we talked.
Well, I don't know that I have any more questions because you guys got my money now.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore, does it? No.
No, I went ahead and ordered the Chuck rotary, figuring
Okay.
that that's probably that makes sense with the stuff that I'm looking at doing. Looking at the other rotary, it looks like probably for normal people is the way to go.
Mhm.
But anyway, I ordered the Chuck rotary, so
Okay.
and ordered the 3580.
Cool.
Anyway,
All right. So, hey,
yeah,
Cinda.
and there will be many more questions as time goes on.
Oh, that's fine. We'll be glad to field them.
I've unfortunately got to bounce though, so I'll see you next week.
All right, man.
Take care.
Sounds good. You're looking good, man.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, have fun. Hey, Cinda, how are you?
Hi, good.
Am I
How are
saying
you?
your name right?
What's that?
Am I saying your name correctly?
You are, yeah. It's like Cinderella.
Okay.
Mhm.
So how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I just thought I would hop on and see if I've been telling Robert I keep forgetting, so today I didn't forget. But I'm good. I'm definitely come a long way from where I was.
Mhm.
I just did a cherry wood swing yesterday.
Okay, awesome.
Came out really cool. So I'm loving it. Robert knows that I've been obsessed since day one. But I've definitely come a long, long way. I've definitely made a couple mistakes.
Sure.
Made one yesterday, but I think the fact that I could figure out what I did wrong, I won't admit it because it was pretty stupid, but I was able to catch it right away. So I just feel like the learning curve is like this.
Yeah. Well,
And-
I consider running a laser like, learning to play a piano. I mean, you have to be, you know what I mean? You have to be in tune with it, and you can start telling when things are off, and you'll pick up on things. And it's really neat how you kind of evolve doing that stuff. So sounds like you're well on your way.
Agreed.
If you're considering this like a musical instrument, I'm way over my head, scaring me.
It looks
Maybe
like we
it's like
got
a new
some,
language.
it is. It's like a spacecraft landing in your yard when it gets there. So, hey, Joe, good to see you. Oh, good. We got quite a few people. It looks like we got some new people here. Carol Ann, maybe, Tyler. I've seen Steve Thomas in here, I think, before, and Eric. I don't know. Tyler, you got your mic unmuted. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good.
Cool.
Got a machine on order, so I figured I'd hop in here and check it out. Been watching all the videos on YouTube, so.
Okay, awesome. Glad you could join us. Do you have any questions while while you've got the floor?
I guess probably, biggest question, I ordered a 51 130, and I see myself doing more cutting, probably than anything, but kind of getting a little bit of those jitters, can I engrave? And it seems like it's a little bit tougher to engrave with a higher wattage, but I guess that's probably my only.
Yeah, and you can engrave with the 130s. They do it every day. There's Joey. I know he does quite a bit of acrylic. He does, pretty detailed stuff in some acrylic. So it's capable. You do have to dial it in a little more. You got to tame the dragon a little bit, but it's doable for sure. So,
Yeah, no, that's it. And that's kind of where I think, like I said, I see myself doing probably far more cutting than engraving, but I want to be able to, engrave some tumblers and engrave, probably some plaques and different things, just kind of random stuff,
Oh yeah, most of that stuff it'll do with ease. So yeah, you shouldn't have any problem.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Brian, that was one of the things that I was reading on Facebook. Someone was saying that the lower wattage lasers were better for engraving than the higher wattage lasers. But I thought that you would be able to adapt or turn down the higher wattage to get the same engraving quality as you would with a higher wattage laser. That was whatever. I don't know. I just
Well,
seemed confusing to me.
Yeah, that depends on how you're exciting the tube. These are DC excited tubes, and there's an ionization threshold, actually in all the tubes, where it won't fire or maintain a uniform beam signature after a certain voltage, the striking voltage. So meaning a 40-watt tube, you could probably get down, to 2 or 3 watts or something like that. On a 130-watt tube, the minimum you could probably even get a good beam signature from is probably more like 10 or 15 or 20 watts. You know what I mean? So that threshold is part of the thing that you're fighting. Now, an RF tube, you can control it a lot better on the low end. It has a tickle frequency that keeps it just below the threshold, where it's just in that about to be unstable, and then it can pulse faster and fire faster, and you have more finite control over the beam itself. So there are a few differences, but
okay, that makes sense because we did talk about that exciting temp or voltages earlier. So okay, thank you.
And that's the good thing about the faster machines, like the Novas that are 1,000 millimeters per second, and then the Odins that are 2,000, is that you can compensate for that, with the speed. So that's how we can still engrave with a 130. You just have to, like say, tweak it a little bit to get your settings down.
Yeah.
So.
And Brian, when you mean tweak it, you mean by basically increasing the speed, right?
Basically, but see, the power supplies can only pulse at a certain frequency, and your gantry's moving back and forth when you're rastering, and that optically does some things just with that bidirectional travel, and all that pulsing and all that travel and all these thresholds kind of do some weird things as far as how the lasers go. It's kind of hard to explain, and I don't really understand it myself.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a rabbit hole for sure. So that's kind of all I've got on that. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, seems like the more you watch and the more you learn and the more you think about it, you kind of you start to go all over the place.
Well, see, now we overthink stuff a lot too. A lot of this data you're seeing, we're just kind of digging places where maybe we don't even need to dig, because it is, inherent. That's just the way the tubes behave. It's just their inherent behavior. So sometimes we dig a little deep, and some of these things come out, and then everybody's like, "Oh no, what is that?" When it's
Sure.
really been there all along. We just kind of exposed it a little bit. So, Cinda, do you have anything else that you want to add?
Well, probably my biggest question, that doesn't pertain to everybody, but I'm still trying to get some solution on what to do about the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I put it out there, but no one seemed to want to respond.
You talking about the Mac issue?
Yeah. Okay. I sent back my Lightburn camera.
we've updated this article. Let me find it real quick. And I published the cameras that we think will work for that.
Okay, great. I think you did send that to me in an email, but I can't seem to find it for some reason. Is that under the client support?
It is. Let me see here.
Okay.
Uh,
Sorry, I
think-
know that's
there
not
it
a
is.
concern for everybody.
I probably need to, yeah. So which machine do you have?
I have the 24.
Okay, so we're suggesting using the 4K W95, which is technically the Nova 35 camera.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's
So
got-
then I just have Rebecca send that to me.
Right. Mhm.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Great. Well, all right. That's pretty much all I needed.
Tyler, you got anything else?
I guess I didn't order a camera with it, but it's kind of one of those things that intrigued me a little bit, but probably run it a little before I get that. Is there one that works with the 51? As I saw that, the one that was recommended there didn't work. Is that?
Yeah, the 4K W110, which is the same one that we prescribed for the Nova 63. So what'll
Got it.
happen is your field of view will be a little bit wide. You'll catch a little bit more of the laser than you need to, possibly, but that's okay. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you see more. You just need to be able to have, the extents of the bed pretty much in
Yeah.
view.
And that's just for Mac too.
Right. Yeah, the
Well,
prescribed
yeah.
cameras are all Windows compatible, so the ones that we have listed are. But then if you are dealing with the Mac thing, we have some alternatives here. Thanks,
Yeah, no,
Grant.
so you're right. Yeah, I know I'm Windows, so then that would be a non-issue for me then, really.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anybody else got anything?
Hey, Brian, this is Eric.
Hey,
Hey,
Eric.
it's just getting to the season where things are starting to cool off, and I had some questions earlier about an unregulated like garage in
Right.
the wintertime with suggestions, and I really don't want to put any substance in my, like antifreeze in the cooler, but I was thinking, what about some of those like seed germination like heating pads that you can just set? They keep things at like 60, 70 degrees, but I think they can go down to about 40 degrees and just set in like one of those little heating pads inside the laser tube compartment. You think that would hurt anything?
Well, that in itself may not hurt anything. I don't know how beneficial it'll be because you still got the chiller and all the lines and all the other things that are in there, the peripheral systems for the cooling system that could still freeze. So yeah, it would keep the tube from freezing if you could get. Now if you don't have that heat, even around that tube, even if one side gets hotter than the other, you could split it. So
Okay.
Ultimately you really do need the ambient temperature in the room to be above freezing. Either that or use the RV antifreeze, even though which I think you saw my notes on that.
Yeah.
And of course mine is insulated, but I just use a little 1500 watt space heater, and that's enough to keep it, and I just leave the lid open in the winter so that it'll kind of equalize inside the laser. But you say you probably won't get freezing too much. I mean,
Now, every so many years, we'll have a little temperature where it'll drop outside. I mean, we get into the high 20s outside. Even my garage, I've never gone out there and seen like a half bottle of water or anything like frozen. I haven't had a laser in my garage over the winter either.
gotcha. Yeah. A heater is probably really best. You could put some RV, you could put some antifreeze in there if you really needed to, but in the climate you're describing, I don't think that's necessary. If you're in Minnesota, maybe, or, somewhere where you got a lot of snow.
We only snow probably once every 2 years.
Now, if you're in the position where you don't have to use the laser, if you don't have to get up every morning and run it for 6 hours to make a living or whatever, if you knew that was coming, then yeah, you could probably just drain the tube, just drain the system and then fill it back up after the cold spell's over if they're that infrequent. But that's a lot of work to go through too.
Well, that's kind of this is just for hobby, so I don't
Okay.
mind if I have to drain it. And I was hearing people would use a a little bit of air too, not too high pressure, but to actually blow out the
To purge the system. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be an option as long as you didn't. Yeah, it had to be very, very, very low pressure. But it doesn't take much to purge that system. There's not much plumbing there. So that may be the best choice for you.
Yeah, that's probably what I'll go with because, like I said, it's strictly hobby. So
Right.
during once past gets 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, our temperatures get into the high 30s, 40s. So
Yeah.
it won't be a concern at that point. I just didn't want just those few hours at night where it would drop.
Right. Yeah. Maybe a remote thermometer, temperature sensor or something would be an option to even kind of gauge what you're having to deal with, even when you do get it, so you can kind of help maintain.
I got one on order that has an alarm, so you can set, a certain temperature threshold, and then it'll alarm you. And then if it gets, I'll set it at like 38 or whatever. If I know it's drop below that, then I can go. It gives me time to go purchase the system if I need to.
Right. Grab the hairdryer and get to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry. I forgot to make myself do not disturb. So, I see. Hey, Joe, how are you? I see, and Gary, how are you doing,
I'm
man?
good. How are you?
Here in a while.
Good, Brian. Good. Finally got a day that I could get away and jump on here for a minute.
Cool. So, and Jason, I'm glad you joined us. He's our Rotary guy. Eric, Steve, any of you new guys or Chris, there's a few other people. If anybody has anything, feel free to jump in. That's what we're primarily here for.
I did have a question about the Rotary as well. So
Okay.
the 51-100, I ordered the Rotary with mine, and that's the Rotobox Junior. You only adjust on one side.
Right. The Rotobus Junior is the one we normally send out unless you specify otherwise. Except for the Nova 24, it'll only take the low roller.
Okay. I think I haven't completed the purchase, and I put my down payment, but Rebecca said I could change it. I think I'm going to go ahead and upgrade to the dual jet.
Gotcha. You got a little feedback or something, I think, unless it's my mic feeding back. But yeah, you can easily do that. And I've been playing with that full blown Rotoboss, and I do like that extra adjustable tower. That's pretty handy sometimes. So that'd be a good thing.
Joanne, what are you painting down there?
I made some little medals. I've been asked to do medals. This looks really terrible, but it's a proof of concept. So.
Oh, cool.
So I'm just painting all the backs of them at the moment before I lift off the masking and then paint it white and do all the things. And then it gets more lasering for the black. So.
Very cool.
But I've got to get this done. So I'm just sitting here tinkering away with it.
Well, I have a funny story. So Robert, as you know, has been a huge help. And I finally placed an order with I don't know who all uses JDS Industries. But I told Robert the other day that I asked them about their shipping and their expediting of speed. And I realized that it's 25 minutes from my house. So I went and picked up everything. All I have to do is tell them 1 hour before I want it and it'll be ready. So I had
nice.
Right? I know. Robert knows I get my mind blown all the time. That was mind blowing. I was like, there is a God. So I went and got some of the water tumblers for a private school in the area for their cross country team. And I came home and I went to put it in the Rotary and said, oh, it's too big. And then I realized that Robert had done a YouTube on how to take the back off of the Rotary so that it would fit in. So thank goodness for YouTube. And I cranked out 8 of them in no time.
Yeah, once you get that first one set up, if it's a run, you just put in the new one, push the button, you can clean the old one up and get it ready while you're waiting on the next one. It's neat.
But now I'm going to be going to JDS like every day.
So where are they?
They have a warehouse in Edison, New Jersey.
Okay, so I do not share your good fortune.
It
And
is
things so close.
massive. When I tell you this thing is massive, but they
Right.
have a door. There's an option when you check out to hit will call, and you just go and pick it up an hour later, and the guys box it up for you.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
all of
that's
those favors I've done for people just paid off.
Have you
Here's
seen
a
their
question.
catalogs that they can let you set up? They're like kind of non-branded, and it's all of their products, and you can either have your pricing on it or have no pricing, and you even
Oh.
brand it with your subdomain so that you can use it as your store, and then your clients can look through those thousands of products and go, I want 20 of these and 10 of those, and you've already got the SKU numbers ready to go.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
all of their pricing sheets, most all of their promotional information is available.
Hmm.
Huh.
It's
So
not
you
branded.
can tie
You
that
can
to
take
your
it, pick it up.
website?
I'm sorry.
So I could tie that to my website?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I've got an example. Let me see if I can get it real quick.
Perfect.
If
All of their flyers too, Cinda, are not branded, so you can go ahead and put your stickers or whatever you want on most of their promotional stuff as well.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
You can set it up too to where they'll show prices. You go in there and tell it what your markup that you want and everything, and that way they don't see what you actually pay for it.
Right. We don't want
Yeah,
that.
it's really a store in a box. It's very handy.
They've come a long way over the past couple of years. I got one about 20 minutes from my house, so I just
Yeah.
go over there. But
Oh, I'm jealous, you guys.
they got
Wasn't telling the story to rub it in, but it is.
if you're doing tumblers and stuff already, one cheap way, and you can get it through JDS is to get into sublimation.
Yeah, I saw
To add to your tumbler business. I do that on the side as well, but it's cheap, it's easy, it's literally you print it out, you press it in a press, and I got a sample of what.
Did you
Yeah.
buy the press from them, Jason? Where
Sorry,
did you get the press?
I guess one of them.
Great, that's cool.
How do I see more people?
Yeah.
You can
we
do
got
all
a bunch
kinds of different full color graphics and stuff. So this is something you could add to your Tumblr business for about $4,000 to get started.
Mhm.
But
Hey, I see John. John, you joined us a little late. You missed something very important.
I'll watch the video, but you can't tell me what it is.
Okay. All right. We won't tell you what it is, but you're going to love it, dude. And it's in the first, couple of minutes. We won't tell.
Okay, then I'll have to just go. Wait, I know what it is. I know.
Right?
Ron bought his computer, his laser.
Well, yes, but there's more.
Oh, I missed that too.
Yeah. I'll as soon as this thing gets done, I'll publish it. Looks like I'm not even checking the chat. But yeah, you need to watch the first couple of minutes. He did, and he really dressed for the occasion. I'll put it that way. So
Yeah, I hardly recognized him when he got on there.
he dressed up just for you, John, just so you guys could sip champagne together or
I
scotch.
missed it.
You'll see. It's funny. So
Let me go get the champagne though.
How do you see more people
I-
on this
I-
thing? I've only got 6 people that I can see, but it sounds like there's more of you.
If you go to the top of the screen, Joanne, and let it drop down, you can click See Everyone.
Is that on an iPad or a computer?
It's on my laptop.
yeah, I'm on a
It might be different on my iPad, maybe.
Oh,
possible.
maybe try going all the way up to the edge of the screen and see if a gray bar drops down.
Hmm,
No.
no. No biggie.
So Brian, are you showing, this is inside within the JDS,
Yeah, this is what it'll look like. Here's the linking guide, and I'm gonna copy this and paste it to a chat. If I can figure out how. Let's see. Oh, I'm doing to everyone. Okay, I just linked it. But that tells you all the different ones. But like they have one that's just acrylic. They have one that's just awards. I think they probably have one that's just the tumblers. You know,
Okay.
and you can customize that and have your logo on it. And, you know, like they said, you can have it priced or not priced. You could just leave it blank and have them look through, and then you can discuss it, you know, however you want to do it. But it's a real neat thing they do for you.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's good to know. I guess I just have one other kind of big question. I don't know how everyone does with the people in their family getting involved in what they're doing, but my husband seems to want to come down and ask questions randomly. He has this mug that he got in, I don't know if it's Ireland or London or where. It's a really thick mug. The glass is thick. And this is, you guys have probably seen a couple of my tickets, and I asked Robert about this. This is like literally a very deep engraving on this glass. Is it wrong to think that the thunder will go deep into the glass?
Yes.
Okay, enough of that. Okay.
Yeah, the glass isn't actually ablated with CO2 laser. It creates those micro fractures. I mean, you could fracture it enough to where pieces would fall out, but that's not going to be a good engraving.
No.
Not
Okay.
like sandblasting where you have that control.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing conversation. Robert knows I've asked him several times. I guess I was hoping he was going to give me a different answer eventually, but I can't get my husband away from the fact that I can't do this.
Right.
Well, a lot of that's done with rotary too, or the glass is actually not rotary like as in a CO2 rotary, like a rotary engraver.
Oh yeah.
Or it's actually molded into the glass when it's made.
Yeah, I think this is a rotary that is actually touching the glass and actually scraping. I mean, this is thick. This is very deep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, chances are it is. The CO2 won't be that clean, one, and two, it won't go that deep.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry, I was answering some of these chats. I don't multitask well. There's a bunch of people here. So does anybody have anything new? Hey, Gary, I haven't talked to you in a while. What have you been up to?
Well, I added the air gauge. Hold on, I have to get outside here a second. Sorry about that. I added the air gauge so we can kind of tweak and tune in dial in the pressures that we're using for, more for engraving, I think, than cutting. I've been running it pretty much wide open on the cutting.
Right.
But it's just fun to play with. Had an issue today. I showed up and my roof was leaking at my shop.
Oh, so you've been
just
dealing
right
with
over the man door walking. So we have a contractor coming tomorrow to put a new roof on. It's not really bad, I don't think, but the wife's paranoid, so now we're getting a new roof.
Right. Well, better do it while you're doing it, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Cool. Steve, Carol Ann, Chris, any of you guys have any questions? Hannah, anybody else? We've got plenty of time for you if you have any questions. If not, we'll just keep rattling on. I was telling Grant we could have a couple of discussions about some different things. I think he probably jumped off, so nothing in particular. I do have something. I did a camera calibration remotely last night with a client, and it went phenomenally well. It was a textbook case. And about halfway through, I realized that we weren't recording. I never anticipated on it because I didn't think it was going to be one of those kinds of sessions. So he's agreed to go back through it with me. And it really illuminates a lot of these weird things that happen when you're doing the lens calibration. and the alignment part for the Lightburn camera. So we're going to redo that video, and I think it's going to be fabulous. So I'm going to get with him in the next couple of days and try to hammer that out. So, and it'll be short and sweet, but I really think it'll be a good one. So that's something
It seems like a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah. Well, see, what we did is I worked the camera capture because it was remote, but it's better to do this with a second person. And he held the card and looked at the preview, and I was looking at the preview, and I got to where I would just click it at, like, in cadence, just click, 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 and he'd move it around, and the volume, the values would change, and then all of a sudden, it would look great, and we'd go, all right, we think we got it, and we moved to the next one. And once you were able to see the values moving, not really in real time, but as fast as I was clicking, as you move that card in and out, you could really understand what was happening and which way you needed to move it to improve your score. So, it was really eye-opening to do it that way. So that's what we're going to capture, hopefully, in that video.
That's great, Brian, because I've dealt with a lot of people that just seem to think that you're going to put that card flat on the bed of the laser and not move it and get any kind of a decent reading out of it. And some of the instructional videos are kind of vague in that respect. And so once people understand they've got to have that card, facing that laser, or excuse me, the lens itself, it makes a huge difference. But about half the people I talk to, oh no, I just put it flat on the bed.
Yeah. And if you guys mess with your cameras, this is going to be fixed in the next release. There is a little bug. I ran into it twice yesterday. When you're doing the camera calibration, not the lens calibration, but the actual doing the projections, for the alignment for the laser. When you go to do that and actually output that file on whatever your substrate is, it'll pop up with a message saying your rotary is on. Do you want to turn it off or something similar? Just hit yes and go on through it and ignore it. It's just a little goofy thing, and that'll be rectified. So it's not a big deal. So since we were talking about all that, I wanted to make sure that I got that out there.
I finally had received the door, the roof, the lid, whatever you want to call it, from my laser that UPS Freight kindly destroyed. And got it on, so I put my camera in. And I mean, I've been through this camera calibration, I don't know, 30 times now with the two Thunders. With the 51, I just can't get it not to look like it's fisheyed.
Yeah. Well, that may be all the distortion that can be taken out of that lens.
Oh, it's bad.
Are you talking about in the preview, or are you talking about actually on the workspace when you capture it?
In the preview.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the preview is not corrected. So if you've got a fisheye lens, your preview is going to be fisheye as well.
Okay.
Yeah, the only corrections that are made are actually in the projections with the bed and all that stuff when it does it on the work area.
But when you capture it, well, it is kind of in the capture of when you're doing the last calibration, the lens alignment, I think it is. It's pretty fisheyed, and it's hard to even see where your marks are at for the your 1, 2, 3, 4.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that distortion, the lens distortion thing, ought to take a lot of that out. What did it say? You were getting good numbers or great numbers?
They were great. They were 0.03, 0.02.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the numbers were good. But I had the pattern pretty high.
Yeah.
To get it to come out. Maybe I just need to mess with it more, but
yeah,
I had it pretty high. I had the easiest way I found to keep everything square was to put a box in there and then set it on the box.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if my box was just too high that I was, causing it to not see what it was needing to see.
Yeah. Well, even if it's not parallel to the lens, if it's sitting on the box and the lens is not parallel to that card, that can affect it too. So it may be that, but hopefully, like I say, I'm going to try to get this thing done next week and have it out, and I'm going to add it to all the other camera data that we have. So.
Well, the presets, you can select the Lightburn 105, 100 and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The it didn't have any of the 8 megapixel cameras listed. Is that just something they haven't got to yet?
On their site?
On the Wizard in Lightburn.
Oh, well, now a lot of the cameras we spec, they may not even have on their store. I don't know if they do or not. I know some of them are kind of goofy to find. You can't find them like right through the main menu, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe you can. Some of those viewing angles. I don't know why those aren't on there. That'd probably be a Lightburn question. I haven't been keeping up with them. I've been so busy. I used to try to go and check our beta forums and look through all that stuff in Lightburn, but I haven't been doing it lately. I'm not sure. That might be a Jason question.
All right.
An Oz question. Yeah.
All right.
Well, does anybody else have anything?
I'll throw a question out there. So
Okay.
if I understand, the chiller plugs into the back of the unit and then it is activated when the laser is turned on. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a main power switch on the laser, and then there's a laser power switch on the laser, which works the actual laser power supply that fires the tube and now the chiller. So only those two things are on that switch. So, and you still have a chiller switch. So ultimately what has to happen is all 3 of those switches have to be on for the chiller to be active.
So somewhere I watched a video or read somewhere, like in a warmer climate, you want to run the chiller a little bit before you run to kind of cool the tube. Is that correct? And is that still done in that sequence? I guess I don't, not have been playing with it. I don't know how that works.
I don't know that you would be able to fire your laser fast enough after you turn the chiller on to make it not be able to keep up. Though that thing cycles water out of that tube every second or two. I think it's got quite a bit of flow. You can't even see the currents in it. It looks like it doesn't even have water in it. At least mine does. Yeah. So the recovery time is incredibly short. So I don't think I don't think that even needs to be a worry. You can turn it on and go. You don't have to worry about warming it up and, all of that. Now, if it needs to cycle, if your water's warm, if it's really hot out, you may want to wait until the compressor cycles and it gets, below 10. But if it's above I think 25 is what it's preset to. If you get above 25 or whatever the preset is, it'll alarm and won't let the laser fire anyway. So there's some safeguards in there.
Okay.
I got a
Brian,
question.
I have a similar question regarding the chiller. My shop is not conditioned. It's been getting down to about 10 in the mornings here. And anything I need to worry about, in other words, if I go in, typically on the inside of my shop is all finished, but it'll be, 40 degrees in there or so when I get into the shop and I fire up the heater. Do I have to worry about thermal shock or anything like that? In other words, can I just fire that laser up and go to work, or do I need to let it cycle? Or
I've never seen any instances of thermal shock or insult being a problem on that. Are you set to constant set point, or are you using the intelligent mode?
I think I haven't done anything with my chiller, so it's set just the way it came.
It should be an intelligent mode then, which means it'll stay within plus or minus 5 degrees of ambient temperature, I think. Okay. That's typically made for indoors, which it looks like you're fairly climate controlled. Looks like you're in a pretty controlled environment. That'd probably work good on you. I set mine to constant mode because sometimes it gets 80 or 90 in my shop, and I want to keep that threshold low, so I do a static set point at 20. So
yeah, keeping the shop cool in the summer is no problem. It's the heat on the when it gets cold.
Yeah, but I don't think that should be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a quick question. I know it's a really, really basic rookie question, but you know how you're not supposed to leave a laser running unattended, and I don't. But how unattended is unattended? I mean, I'm standing there over the thing watching it. I mean, do you actually have to do that, or is it okay to sit at a computer that you can't actually see into the laser?
I preview mine with the camera, but I'm sitting a foot and a half away from it. I could hit the whack-a-mole button on top of it pretty quick from sitting in my chair. So I watch mine that way. If I'm doing like Ceramark or something on stainless, I don't worry about it too much. I don't look at it too close. But acrylics, those gases build up underneath the honeycomb, and they can ignite underneath, and it doesn't take long. And we've got a flame sensor that will alert you, but it almost has to get past the incipient stage of the fire to be able to set that flame sensor off. I forget what the threshold is, but it has to burn for a minute. Maybe not a full minute, but longer than you'd like before that flame sensor is going to go off, that heat sensor. So it's hard to even put that into words, but I don't ever leave, the area. There's people that have gone, literally said they've turned their back for 45 seconds and look back and their laser's on fire. So it can
that's why I don't walk away from it. So
well, that's one reason we use glass instead of acrylic in the top too, because all the ones that I've ever seen, the very first thing that happens is that top acrylic glass on those machines that have acrylic, they melt and then it gets outside the laser. It's not contained, and then it catches the curtains on fire, and then you're in trouble. So we use glass to help prevent that.
So Joanne, don't walk away.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
I stay glued to it.
Here's a problem I had yesterday.
Load of laundry. I mean, maybe that's bad, and Robert, cover your ears. But like, if I'm doing a tumbler, then I have done 6 of them. I'll put the 7th one in, and I'll walk into the other room, which is right on the other side of the wall, and then come back. But I mean, maybe that's not smart. I don't know.
Tumblers aren't terrible. There's not a lot of fire load there. I mean, they can flame up, but they don't react as violently as acrylics and a lot of the other synthetics do, and even natural woods.
Yeah,
So.
I was a little nervous doing the swing. So to Joanne's point, because I ramped it up pretty high to get a deep cut. And when that thing started, it definitely, the smoke was generating. So I realized I needed to stay close. While we're on that real quick, it's funny how people find products that they like. And then if I do it and people end up liking it, now everybody's ordering these s'more skewers from Colorado and sending them to me to have them done. And the skewer has to actually stick out of the machine. The handle is going into the machine. And Robert, I had made those, I don't know what you want to call them, the balsa wood clips or whatever.
Honeycomb
clips. Yeah. Is there something else out there? And Robert, I know you found something on Etsy, but like I had the honeycomb clips in the there actually was a notch in the wood of the handle, but then I had to hold the actual skewer still. Is there something else that I'm missing that could be used to hold something in place? No.
I know in the fiber world they use Legos a lot, and they'll build a jig out of Legos to hold something that's odd. You could cut a jig for it. Jason got something over there. What you got going on, Jason?
What do you have, Jason?
That's the ones for the knife blades.
Oh, what is that? Is it?
It's the hold down kit for the knife blades.
Oh, there's a kit for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's from Thunder?
Well, it's from me, but
Oh, is that why it says Rotoboss underneath your?
Yeah, but I do other things too. But this is the other one I do for Thunder. But
I figured that was a free plug, but I wasn't sure. Okay. So can I reach out to Rotoboss about something like that?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, because all of a sudden now everybody wants these skewers, and I can't.
You have one of those skewers so you can see what they look like?
I don't. It looks like a really long rod.
Is it something you can lay on the blades?
How thick are they?
Wait, hold on. Blades?
If you take the honeycomb bed off, there's blades underneath it.
No. So here, okay. I have an art degree, but this is going to be pretty pathetic. But hang on.
What are these skewers for?
Okay. So this is the bourbon wood right here. That is the handle. And then there's a notch. And then there's about a The skewer from top to bottom is 43 inches. So
Okay.
this skewer is a big, long, skinny metal dowel.
Mhm.
Yep.
And you just need to engrave the handles.
How big is the handle, or how long is the handle?
The handle is like 2 by, well, I could tell you because it's in my book, but it's
They're big cooking skewers, are they?
to lay on something.
That's what it looks like.
Are you
So-
just going to put text on it?
Yes.
You could lay that across the blades
Yeah.
just the same, and you
No, I
use the
can't get
clamps or something.
I can't get
Sorry?
the rod in the machine. It's too long.
You use the
It sticks
pass
What's
out
through.
that?
It sticks out or pass through.
Oh, you can't fit the skewer inside the machine.
Right. It's 43 inches long.
Yeah, you can just set the handles in the bed and have it have the rods hang out the front of the pass-through door,
So
Yeah, but not with the blades. You can't not hold it down anyways.
not with the blades.
So that's my question is I need something to hold the skewer down.
Can you?
I mean, I
do
can
it like a-
I can make a jig that would attach to your blades, and you just set them in it, kind of
Set 'em-
thing. But
Okay. Well, we all don't have to talk about it together. We could sidebar it, but I was just wondering. There's 7.5 by 2 inches. The handle.
okay, yep.
And then the entire skewer from bottom to top is 43 inches.
Mhm.
I've used bags of rice in the past that have worked pretty well. You
Or
just
that
thin
too.
out the top so you don't have to worry about it interfering with your laser
Yeah,
head.
if you could even, support the rod, and make a fulcrum, before it comes out of the laser sturdy enough,
Push it down into the rice.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
that would be one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll take a little ingenuity, but I'm absolutely positive there's a way to do that.
Okay. Okay. Well, that was Joanne inspired me to ask the question because I had to stand there holding the skewer for 12 of them. And after a while, I started to lose my arm strength.
Yeah,
Right.
that's not very productive.
No.
You could be a human rotary if you spin it just right.
Hey, what kind of a fire extinguisher do you recommend having standing by? We don't want water.
The manual suggests CO2. A lot of people go with the Halotron or something like that for electronics. They're a little more expensive, but a little more effective than CO2. CO2 would be fine. They're a little expensive as well. An ABC extinguisher, if your house is on fire and your laser's on fire and you're worried about it spreading, I would pour just about anything on it that would actually be effective. So if you have an ABC extinguisher there, use it. But it'll ruin the laser. All of the minerals and all of the stuff in that, the silicates and everything gets all into the bearings, into the electronics, and it causes corrosion and all kinds of nasty stuff.
Need a CO2.
What's that?
Need a CO2.
Yeah, CO2 or even the Halotron or whatever that other. There's another trade name for those series extinguishers.
Okay, thank you.
We got anybody else with any questions?
Okay, I have another rookie question too. You probably should do these just for people who are, green. Where does everyone put their honeycomb when they're taking it out of the machine?
In the trash.
In the trash?
I try not to take mine out, but when I do, I leave it behind the machine.
I don't use a honeycomb myself.
Oh, you don't even use it. Oh, okay. So, I'm sorry. Where do you put it then, Brian?
I lean mine behind the machine. I've got a lot of wide open space around. Well, not a lot, but I've got enough space to walk around my machine because I'm in it so much. Looking for wires for people and just look. I'm always in my machine, so I've got a lot of space. So I slide mine behind, lean it up against the back wall.
I was wondering maybe Robert could come up with a project that we could build. I wanted my husband to make something that I could set it in that had like foam so it would hold it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
a set of bookends put together with something padding in
Right.
there between it or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could have sworn and tell me if I'm wrong, but I cleaned it the other day, and it looked to me as if the, call it what you want, the crossbar that's within the honeycomb had like sagged. Am I making that up?
You know, I think mine looks that way too, but when I check level, it's level. So I think maybe they adjust it after that stuff's put in. I don't know if
Okay.
I'd go by that.
Okay. I thought, oh my God,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Well, you know, you can use your acrylic and focus on one corner of the bed, or you know, do a manual and then move your nozzle to all four corners and check and see if the distance is good
Right,
in
right.
the and check for any, you know, variations or
Okay.
deviation in that bed.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, I guess if nobody has anything else, we might cut off a little early. I'm anxious to get this put back up on YouTube so John can see it. First couple minutes. And I guess if nobody has anything else, I'll call this one good.
Sounds
Any
good.
takers?
Me.
All right. I guess
We're
we're all
good.
right. What about you, Gary? You want to leave us with some wisdom on the way out of this webinar? I guess he's just listening. So, all right, guys. I guess I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.